Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning. Greeting, ladies and gentlemen. May I have your attention? This webinar series is about to begin. Our special panel today, Prof. Dr. Suria, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Our topic today is diving into data collection. This series consists of 3 series, which was covered previously. 2 topics: designing Qual Research and building statement of problem. And for the coming topic 4, mining data analysis, will be held on 28 July 2021. Without any delay, I would like to invite Prof. Dr. Suria to deliver the presentation today. All right, Prof, the floor is yours. Please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank every participant who has been very loyal in attending our seminar series. I know it is Sunday for certain parts of Malaysia and maybe somewhere around the globe. Yeah, we have received a lot of participation from Indonesia, in fact from China, from Arabs, even up to Arizona, and of course we admire your loyalty in attending seminar talk series for the past 3 weeks, as mentioned by PM Dr. Najmi. Okay, I would like to thank everyone. I saw many figures here: Prof. Dr. Roslina, the Deans of Faculty of Keusahawanan, Prof. Rajuswana, you're always here, and many more. And of course, my student from Indonesia, thank you. Well, today the topic will be very much about in the fieldwork. So if you look at the chat box, we will have some exercise that we are going to dwell with because in a very short session of our seminar, I couldn't give all, but throughout an hour of my presentation, I will flip in and out with certain exercise. So there will be some kind of tickling your mind that, oh, this is what collections of data. First of all, I would like to stress that as a student, for example, you are a postgrad student, you were planning to go for your fieldwork, or you are doing a major research, and of course, fieldwork is something that is very important, whereby that's the place we are going to get the data. Remember last week when we develop our statement of problem, we entirely thinking that we are going to solve the issue that we have proposed. Yeah, for example, some of my topic discussed last week was about online learning during the MCO. Yeah, okay, so meaning to say, during your fieldwork, basically the very important part when you are going for your fieldwork, two things that you have to remember, that two major things that you have to do during your fieldwork. It's collecting of data. Immediately you do your analysis. You can't do your data collection, whatever techniques that you use, and you put aside your analysis. That cannot be happen. Yeah, because we have few elements that we have to embrace. For example, we wanted to see the saturation point of saturation. We would like to see that collections of data analysis is a process of iterative. It's not a linear process. Yeah, and of course, in doing your data collection, something that you have to bear in mind, you have to bear few strong reminder whereby you have to prepare your mindset. Yeah, you have to be strong, you have to be physically fit, you have to be emotionally fit, and you have to have all your devices of your gadget, all your facilities all intact. Because if it's at normal day, maybe your plan is to go to the real fieldwork, the physical. For example, you wanted to observe, to study about how was the service learning takes place in a place that you have already decided. For example, so you have to go to the physical places that you have decided. Okay, so there is some like physical attendance, physical presence. But in the case of COVID, but we are not sure how long more, but maybe in the future, where the MCO has been lit up, you'll be able to go for your fieldwork physically. So physically fit, mentally fit, emotionally fit, and your facilities must be all intact. I have seen my student who did not prepare well when they go into fieldwork. He did not equip himself with all the recorder. In between the interview, battery off, or the recorder is not well equipped, or maybe you left your protocols and many more. So these are very important preparation when you go for your fieldwork, other than the fieldwork itself. Last 2 weeks, I did mention about techniques in data collection. Some people call method in data collection. Some people say approaches in data collection. For me, I am very clear. After reading from many scholars like Merriam, Crashwell, Bogdan, Yin, Silverman, and many more, I have conceptualized, I have my own OD, my own operation definitions of data collection is techniques, because you are executing a process, a procedure whereby you collect data from your informant or respondents. Yeah, I'm very sorry, my internet is quite slow, so I unable to present myself, but it is a black. Is it black color there, right? Okay, it's okay. My voice still good.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I know. But my voice still being heard, right? Okay, all right. Okay. When you talk about data collection, because in your methodology part, whether in your chapter or maybe in your final report, you would write something like methodology. So you will put the design, the approaches, and then the techniques, data collection techniques. So you will put data collection techniques are, right? In that case, so the three techniques that I usually use will be explained after this. So why I said diving into data collection, because diving is always in the ocean, right? Or diving in a pool. So diving meaning you are seeing a lot of data, but will all the data be yours? No. Yeah. So if we have watched Sherlock Holmes, who was acted by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, he says that it's a huge mistake to theorize before one has data. Sherlock Holmes is a private investigator. So he is well known for his smart investigation, that he never theorized anything before he able to get the data that he's searching for. So in the case of qualitative research, in the case of getting data from this kind of research, it is a mistake. It's a capital mistake, actually. It's a capital mistake if you theorize something before you gotten your full evidence of data. So this is something that I have to remind those who jump into qualitative research. You should not theorize anything before your data is saturated. That is very important. So data collections interviews can be gotten from your respondent, your informant, yeah. And of course, there will be data collection from individual, IDI, in-depth interview, or FGD, FGI, focus group interview. Could be structured, semi-structured, or open-ended, and so forth, depending on how you want to collect your data. There are two options actually when you collect your data. Data collection possibility are wide and varied, as I mentioned just now, diving in the pool or in the oceans of data. So they are wide, there are varieties, but with any one method or techniques of collection that in a way that it will helps you to gain your proper data. Of course, data collection using interview, there will be pros and cons that must be weighed up in view of rich and complex context. Meaning to say, as I always remind, data must be rich and thick. Remember when I addresses GERD study in Bali, in the island of Bali. He studied. He is an ethnographer. He studied among the Balinese who are too fond or too keen in cockfighting. Yeah, cockfighting meaning laga ayam. Yeah. So why he has so deep intention in looking what's the behavior like among the Balinese who love to play, who love to be the cockfighter, because that is their environment, and gets able to mirror out from his close observation as ethnographer. He able to translate the actual phenomenon of Balinese people into his report. And it was done in 1979, and it's still a good piece of reference, those who does ethnography or those who does interviews and observations. So that is one piece of a very significant and that is able to replicate to other collections of data. So of course, there are few advice when you are going to carry out your data collection through planning, well-considered development, effective piloting, and see the modification. What I mentioned about modification is that when you use the protocol that you have designed and sometimes being approved by the internal board or your supervisor or your two supervisors or three supervisors, the actual protocol is for your reference. My experience when I go to the ground, I went to the field work. What I did was I always have I have two kind of protocols, two set of protocol. One, my proper protocol, which is been that has been already been verified and validated by the IMR, internal board. But I also has my simplest point that I would propose, I would question, I would table up to the informants or respondent that I'm going to study. So of course, another way of putting your data in proper place, I have my short notes, I have my long notes, I have my daily journal, and I have my memoir. Okay, so these are the four things that able to comprehend within my my proper protocol and my point that I'm going to deliver addresses to the informant. And of course, I will have my small notes, meaning usually I will do timeline. I will do anecdotal. I would not do. I did not. One, I do my recording, and secondly, I will jot everything as like timeline. So whenever I propose the question, I will start doing jotting. So that is my short notes. Of course, when I go back, I will do my long notes and listen back to the recorder and listen back to the recording that I have done during the field work, and I will do my long notes, and then I will do my reflection every day. And from that reflection, I will start to collect and put into memoir, because when we do our analysis next 2 weeks, we are so-called I'm going to show you how I put into memoir into the software MB4. And of course, you should be able to deliberate and implement and execute. This is where your iterative process happen. Once you go to the field work, you're able to collect the first part or the initial part of your data. Then you come back, if you have already gotten your memoir, you have already done your reflection. The next step, you go back and you try to find gaps. What else that has been missing from your interviews, or from your observation? And you come back until you finally gotten the pattern of your study. Pattern of your study atau pola kajian atau pola dapatan kajian, meaning your data has come to the point that the informer will say the similar thing over and over again, and data has been over exemplified, and there is no more data that you able to get from your informant. That is where you able to weigh your modification and you deliberately implement and execute. And of course, during your interviews, you should be able to manage, and your analysis will take place there. Of course, these are the common convention in data collection. You have your own philosophical assumption. For example, you come from inquiry base, or maybe you come from phenomenology perspective, or maybe you are the ethnography perspective, and so forth. So you must have your own philosophy in putting your research in place. And of course, you carry out your research method. You are looking at qualitative. Of course, in qualitative, we are able to identify techniques in our data collection. And of course, technique, when you do your data collection, it has to go with your data, the report, and then written record, and so forth. Why I said interviews, one of the techniques and later on observation, and so data document analysis is an empirical cycle, because it is an iterative process. I have to say over and over and over and over and over again and again, because collect data, analyze, reflect, and you generate new question for the next part. Then go back to the fieldwork, collect data, come back, analysis, do reflection, and generate your new question until your data become the point that it has developed the pattern. That is very important. Ideally, the next moment of data collection is informed by the information and pattern discovered from preceding sources, for example, observation interview. So you won't be questioned, because when you tie up, when you align with validity and reliability of qualitative data, suggestion from like Merriam Crashwell, from Bogdan, this scholar has already suggested to identify whether your data can be ensured to be trustworthy and have credential and able to be in the commonality of valid. It is really one of the main criteria is that data can be validated or verified through triangulation. So you have data from interviews and observation, or maybe if a pool of you, for example, Prof. Radizwana, maybe we remember when we did our Erasmus project, we 12 of us, we have about 86 respondents. Remember, Prof. Radizwana?
Yeah, remember that.
2017. You're one of the very rigorous interviewer, and you got a lot. Yeah. So it was 86 respondents within 12 of us, the interviewer. We are the interviewer, we are the researcher. So that is also important within the interviewer, or within, we call it enumerator, we have to enumerate ourselves so that there will be no difference between each enumerator. So in a way, yeah, each of us has to select our own respondent. As we go with the criteria that you have to meet. Yeah. For example, in our case, we are looking at media literacy as one way of putting literacy on media social. Yeah, at that point of our research. So respondent will be chosen from various and diverse groups, but who has experience, who have background in media social. Yeah, right. So so you can verify and validate your data by triangulation, and of course, very importantly, do not go once. That is wrong. There is no such thing of doing once. Yeah, but remember that unless you are a pool of group, like our project, we have 86 respondents, we have 12 enumerator, we're able to come and discuss, and from the discussion, we're able to move on and on until we found out that data is saturated. So, duration and prolonged engagement is very important, very vital. Yeah, prolonged engagement. Why? Because as an assessor, as a reader, we are unsure whether this data has come to the saturation point and you're able to report. But if you can put the evidence that this data has been collected and being analyzed during in the durations of 3 months, maybe. So you, because in NVivo, in the software that I use, once you log into data when we insert our data in the software, we will do the analysis. The log time will be, by default, it can be logged in. So your assessor would like to see the durations of your data collection analysis, and that will be the evidence. Maybe from another software. I can't remember another software. But I'm used to use NVivo as my the software that I
Atlas TI, Prof.
Atlas TI, yeah, Atlas TI. Right, thank you. So NVivo and Atlas TI, there's some similarity that once you log into your material or your data into the software, it will, by default, it will register the day one until end of your data collection and end of your data analysis. So that will be evident to show that prolonged engagement has been taken place. Yep, number 2. Of course, number 3, audit trail. Audit trail meaning that you audit trailing. You trail from one day to and second day, third day until your study finishes. Okay, this the validity and reliability of data collection. I will be meeting you all in my 5th series. Yeah. Next. All right. What do you think now? There will be 7 questions. I give you about 2-3 minutes. Go to the 1, go to the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can you just put yes or no at the end of the sentence? Okay, are you all ready? Can you all see? Interviews involve talking with people. Yes or no? Okay, you just put your answer number 1 or 2. Yes or no? Everyone would rather be interviewed than surveyed. There is one standard method of interviewing. Interviews are always done in person. Because interviews are personal, they are more culturally appropriate. Interviews can create a lot of narrative data that will require time to analyze. Last one, number 7, interviewers should ask the same question in the same way of all respondents. Okay. All right, let's see. What do you all get? Okay. Wait. Okay. Wait, I will give the answer. Oh, maybe this one. Okay. Sorry. So, what do you think about the answer just now? Interviews involve talking with people? Yes. Everyone would rather be interviewed than survey? No.
No.
There is one standard method of technique of interviewing. No.
No.
You can have, yes. Interviews are always done in person. Yes. Because interviews are personal, they are more culturally appropriate. Yeah. You need to understand your informant background. Number 6 is yes, you are of narrative. So if you are a person of non-narrative person, yeah, you are able to do that. Because sometimes when you gotten data, you might say that data is not important, but whereas that is a very important data. Interview should ask the same question in the same way of oral respondent. No. Okay. For example, Rosanna, if you remember, we have several diverse groups when we did our Erasmus project. We have people, senior citizen, even we have school teachers, we even have young, who are native, social media native and so forth. So depending on your research, depending on what you wanted to go to study. So there should not be protocol similar protocol, but you should able to address your informant different way of questioning. Yeah, macam like for example, you are doing research among makcik di pasar Siti Khadijah, the local market. So you are meeting the different kind of background of the stall keeper or the stall person, or the makcik at the store. So the way you address your question could be phrased in different way, but using the same protocol. Okay. So introduction, I would like to recap. Interviews is one of the most important data gathering techniques for quality research because you'll be able to gather rich data from people in various roles and situations. A good interview helps us to focus on the subject's world. And that is very important. Subject's world. Why I emphasize the keyword there, subject's world. Because we are the instrument, our informant is the experts. We are taking their experience for us to do the reporting. If in case you misreport the experience of your respondent or your informant, eventually your reporting will be diverted from the actual situation. Remember, I posed the word verisimilitude. Yeah, verisimilitude is a Latin word meaning very similar to it. Yeah, and of course, other data collection technique involve observation and of course using documents. Yeah. Now, what is interviewing? I think many of us here has done. Yeah, but it's just a recap. Usually, of course, interview involve verbally, oral. Yeah, whereby you question, but yeah. This is something that I need to share. The best asset that we should reskill ourselves if we are going to be interviewing our respondent is to learn to be an active listener. What is active listener? Meaning to say, you should have the ability to put more hearing, to put more time to hear from your respondent rather than you does the talking. But there's at some point that you should able to stop. For example, okay, maybe this is the sentence. Okay, Mr. A, as I understood, this was your experience when you conduct your online learning. May I know, is this the way you do it? You able to paraphrase. Yeah, you able to paraphrase because as you paraphrase the statement given by your informant, there will be more disclosing happen. Yeah. So it means that you are inviting more information from your respondent. You could be say, aha, oh, okay. Yeah. So you meaning that you give your non-verbal expression to show that you are listening, you are accepting the information. But something that if you got a very talkative or very informative respondent, what would you do? You should be able to sort of give a little bit pause. Maybe you give a hint that you wanted to give a stop to your talkative informant, saying that, can I have a minute, please? From what I've heard, this is what you have addressed before. Am I right? So that sometimes your informant doesn't know actually that you wanted, but you are the one as an expert. You are as an instrument. You're able to control your informant so that he or she wouldn't divert away from what you are going to study. Okay, that is very important. So that's why in the first session when I meet you all, I have emphasized go and learn, go and reskill ourselves on the counseling techniques. Counseling technique, there are a lot of techniques of interviewing. It's not being a counselor, but the skill that you need to enhance to be an interviewer and also an observer. Okay, this number 2, I will be sharing a little bit more later on, structured or unstructured. Yeah, this is something like physical or on phone. So I think those are in the midst of data collection this last year and this year. I know you are very much constrained in getting your data at the physical setting, but there are alternative. There are alternative of using phone. I have done that. Contact, but of course you should introduce yourself, get the consent letter. Everything must be intact so that there will be no ambiguity. So your respondent will you'll be able to convince your respondent that saying that you are an actual researcher. So of course, the person or informant that you have selected is the informant that are able to give information about what you are studying. So, of course, the interview can be conducted individually or as a group. So, individual will go into IDI, individual individual in IDI, deep interview, depth interview, individual depth interview, or FGD or FGI, focus group interview or focus group FGD discussion. Okay, so in interview is an important way for a researcher to check the accuracy of the impressions he or she gained through observation. Yeah, so of course there will be no such thing that when you do your interview you did not record. Get the consent, get the approval from your informant that you are going to record your session. Yeah, so let be transparent to your respondent, that tell it and at a very earlier stage that besides doing the interview, you are also recording, but ensure give say out loud and give the confidence to your respondent, saying that your name will not be written, your actual name will not be written on your report, but will be on the synonym. But you have to really give confidence to your respondent that saying that the interview will be taken place in certain period of time, and the recording will take place, because this is very important. Yeah. Then why interviews are useful? Yeah, why is it is very useful? One, you're able to hear person's own voice and own perspective. Yeah, in the case of online interview, at this moment, you might use your Google Meet, or maybe you can use your FaceTime, a video call, or whatever medium that able you to meet your respondent online. Yeah, but basically, of course, the interview should takes place, but it is not normal now. Yeah, but you have to make it work, as you need to collect your data within the period time given to you. So of course you wanted to listen to the voice, and from there the perspective from the respondent you have chosen. And of course, from the interview, you're able to go in depth, yeah, about the topic, about the experience, undergo, yeah. Then of course, interviews are useful for us to have a personal interaction, and of course, it will get best data. And of course, writing skill from the report is very important, and both the researcher and the informant or the respondent should be able to reflect during the interview session. Okay, what I said to reflect, for us, as I mentioned earlier, I have my short notes, I have my long notes, I have my reflection, and I have my memoir. In the part of respondent, you might able to give a piece or a book or something that you will allow your respondent to do a reflection if the respondents are capable to write, but do not push orang kata paksa, or you should not uh, uh, sort of push your respondent to write for you, no. But there are incidents that you cannot get the answer from the interview. It's so difficult for your respondent to say out loud. There is the point you use Vignet, Vignette, Vignet. Vignet meaning the critical time whereby the data does not transpire, but maybe you give some important points dealing with that critical information that you cannot get it from his talk aloud, but you able to put in points, and your respondent will able to respond in writing. And that is one way, so that your data is complete. That is one way of doing it. Yeah. All right, there are some interviews that have some advantages and disadvantages. Deep and free response, flexible, and you're able to capture the non-verbal expression, maybe body gesture, facial expression, yeah. You can see from the eyes, when you do the oral interview, you can see the actual expression, yeah. I have the experience interviewing a girl, a 15-year-old girl who had been raped, by his boyfriend. So it is a very difficult moment because the respondent doesn't want to talk. So I think we have to respect the respondent action, because she was not she is very traumatic on the incident that happened to her, but I'm able to develop relationship with the respondent within about a month. Yeah, I know it's very difficult, but you have to be very persistent because you wanted to get the data. So eventually, a lot that I've gotten is from the body gesture, from her eyes, from the glimpse of her, from the lips. I am able to understand, and of course, I did ask her to draw, to do some drawing, because this is part of art therapy. With using drawing, that I'm able to get some information. Until a month when I built the relationship with the respondent, I'm able to get more information from what happened to her after the traumatic period. Right? Very importantly, interviews able to make a scope to follow up, to clarify some misunderstanding about question. This is where you're able to allow your respondent to disclose his or her experience. This is very important. That's why you need to learn counseling techniques in order for you to get more information. Of course, the disadvantages of interviews, costly in time and personnel, and impractical with large number of respondents. If that's why people asking, how big is your respondent? You have to come to the basic of qualitative research. Qualitative research actually is just to understand the experience of your informant or respondent that you have chosen. So you need not to have big sample as quantitative, because qualitative is about understanding the experience of your experts. Yeah, unless you have a big group, you and your research team is a large group that you're able to give each group numbers of respondents that you need to interview. Yeah. That's why I said require skills. Yeah, if you are quiet, you are too talkative, at the end you go back without any data. You're able, maybe difficult to summarize responses, but my advice to those who are doing your PhD now, yeah, I still remember what I did during my fieldwork, yeah, during my PhD long back some time ago. I did my recording. As I enter my car, I will put the recording so that I'm able to refresh what I have done, what I have interviewed during past few hours. And immediately at the same day or day after, I'll do my long notes so that I'm able to capture what else to be, what else that I need to address to my respondent. This is very important. That's why my advice earlier just now, that something that you need to do is physically fit, mentally fit, emotional fit. So this is where you have to be very fit in terms of your presence during the fieldwork. If we unable to have this fitness, I don't think that we are able to do our fieldwork properly. Of course, as an instrument, why people will ask me, why you are saying that you are the instrument? Because you come with your proper theoretical framework, you come with a proper conceptual framework, so there will be no biases. You have to learn, we have to learn, no, we have to learn to be non-judgmental, because a non-judgmental researcher able to direct our research so that not only your respondent will respond and build rapport. This is very important. Rapport, R-A-P-P-O-R-T. Rapport meaning build a relationship with your respondent. Of course, if you are new to your respondent, there will be a little bit of block at the beginning, but as you move on, you're able to show your genuineness, genuine. You have to be able to see how genuine you are in your research, and of course, the respondent will some sort like giving or cooperate with your study. Okay, right. This is very important. This is very much important. Things to consider. Prepared by people with an oral culture, something that you have to bear in mind. Language proficiency, this is very important. Yeah, for example, contohnya we are interviewing native people, local people, which are unfamiliar with us. So get some common native languages or local languages that be able to put us near to your respondent. Yeah, this is very important. The other thing is verbal skill proficiency. So this is also important. I remember back in 1999, I remember, I went through body language courses, I undergo that courses so that I'm able to learn body language skills. Yeah, so this is very important. Politeness, this is very important. need to have someone present, of course. You need to build rapport, and you must be very frank and able to set comfortable settings. What I meant is comfort setting, not only the setting which is quiet. You should be able to get the feeling or the emotion of your respondent must be put into important list. Okay, interrogation. This is something that is not good. Cannot be happen during your interview. You are not policeman. You are not SPRM. Do not use your power or you not use your your time to interrogate, because interrogation will end up with nothing. Yeah. There will be different between interrogation, probing, and disclosing, paraphrasing. That is so different. Yeah. So learn about all these skills. Direct question seems to be impolite, threatening, and confrontational. This is very important. Those who are novice in qualitative research and you are just diving into doing the interviews. Please have some time to, maybe at this time it's so difficult to get courses, but you can go and look at the YouTube and do a lot of practicing. I did that. I put myself at the mirror and I do a lot of mock. I do a lot of verbal mock, and I did a lot of practice in front of the mirror. This is how counselor did when they undergoing training for doing interview. Yeah, right. Behavior. Some people say, oh, I have done this. I understood how to do interview. That is wrong. Yeah. So one thing that you need to bear that we are not in the culture of our respondent that we have chosen. So respect the culture. Respect the individual. Be natural. Yeah. For example, you are a urban person and your respondent will be very remote respondent. Yeah, as I mentioned, I did research with my team among native students orang asli in Pahang Barat, West Pahang. Do I have to put all the accessory that I use during my presence in the office, as like using my code and so forth? No. I have to be likely, bukan nak pakai macam orang asli, tidak. Tapi you have to be very simple, so that you are not looking gorgeous, and it will actually block the mind of your respondent. So be simple, and you have to accommodate and respect the culture of your respondent. Next, rapport. That is what I have addressed earlier. Rapport is not built one day. Rapport has to be more like building through many ways. Yeah. That's why some researcher wanted to be full-time observer, full-time participant. There will be two types, non-participant and full participant. That's why some researcher will be full participation because they will stay in the environment. But I've never experienced that, but I've done a lot of non-participation because I'm not an ethnographer. I usually did only case study, and I did inquiry participatory only. So rapport can be built if you respect your respondent background and so forth. And of course, this skill is very important, one question at a time. The same question, different ways, that is one way. Ask interview to repeat and answer if you feel doubt. Especially you can able to do paraphrasing, Paraphrase, paraphrase. Yeah, this is a very important technique. Paraphrasing, negotiation, disclosing. These are three important skills that you need to learn from time to time. Yeah, very who control the flow of communication. Avoid leading question. Yeah, avoid leading question ni macam you just say yes and no lah, macam question saya atas tadi, yes or no. That is wrong because you not unable to get the actual experience of your expert. And of course, don't interrupt too much. Type of interviews, okay, there is semi-structured interview. There will be informal conversation. There will be standard open-ended. So these are the different types of interviews. Topic selected in advance, researcher determines sequence and wording during interview. So that's why those who are going for the first time into the the interview into setting or into the fieldwork, whether it's present physical fieldwork or online fieldwork. You should be able to train yourself into the question. You need not have to look all the time your notes, but it's actually you have already digested. You have digested what you wanted to say out. Informal conversation, that is very important. And of course, you can have some standardized open-ended. Yeah, so you will receive any emerging data that happen surrounding your respondent. Of course, these are common, types of interview question: background, demographic, knowledge question, experience, behavior, opinion, values, feeling question, and sensory question. So this is very important. Okay, from structured to unstructured interviews, there will be some sort like full set of structured, but you can also have semi-structured, meaning that you follow exactly that what you have already prepared. So that structured interview is like a set of questions that should be addressed in a standard way across all respondents. Whereas semi-structured, meaning you are allowing maybe about 30 to 40% that question come from the respondent. So it means that you're able to have your conversation, you have a flows of conversation upon the topic that you want to discover. Semi-structured interviews are most likely being used by many researchers. So they prepare a list of questions according to the interview guide or interview protocol. It does not have to be followed in order. If you think your respondent is diverting, you should be able to put back. You should be able to receive your respondent information. You should not say, oh, I don't want this question, I don't want this answer, because there is something that can trigger you furthermore. This is very important. Other question may be added to later interviews, because sometimes it's not like jumpy. You have set of protocols. Sometimes your respondent might jump into certain other activities that is also important. You can so-called follow your respondents' views, experience. Then, if you miss few questions above, you should be able to come back to your original question. So that is very important. Importantly, notes question that you have prepared to question your respondent able to be addressed that day that you decide on the fieldwork. But there are some instances which I have experienced. You are unable to finish all the question at that similar day, and do not push your respondent. Nak habis ni, I kena habiskan juga. I have to finish all this question by today. If not, I mati lah. No. That is where your rapport built. If you push a lot to your respondent, you can see the result that your respondent will be back off. They will back off. They will, when you call, they did not take your call. When you message, they did not reply. When you email it means that end of it. So it's so important that you build rapport slow and steady. From my experience, I am very grateful. Hundreds of interviews that I have done, hundreds of respondents that I have encountered. I am very much delighted and grateful that I've done a lot of meetings and able to get rapport. Okay. Your question is more like a guide. If you are already in the field work for 2 months or nearly 3 months, actually you have already digested, you're able to frame, you're able to construct your question to your respondent very articulately. You're able to articulate with the question. So try not to always look at your notes to question your respondent, meaning to say that all is in our mind. What's next? Maybe you could have your some points, some important point that you need to address, but do not always put your eyes on your notes. You should look directly and have contact mata, eye contact with your respondent. What if your respondent doesn't want to see you? That is another problem. So this one will be more like getting rapport or getting much like more skills towards it.
Prof,
Yes.
we have, sorry to interrupt, Prof. We have
5 more
one
minutes.
question from Dr. Nurul Azwin.
Yeah.
Dekat chat, Prof.
Okay.
I have to develop a good basic set of interview questions to make sure the interview question able to answer the research objective. In a case where numbers of participants are limited due to posts in organization, CEO, minister, how can we make sure that the question prepared are good? What type of pilot tests can be conducted to ensure the questions are the right question? Looks like how we want to benchmark the question.
Okay.
Okay, Prof.
Dalam qualitative study, Dr. Azwin, dia tak ada pilot macam kuanti to get you punya reliability, tak ada. Pilot meaning that you pilot your protocols, you pilot your settings, that's only, so that you come back, and of course if you have your superior or your supervisor or your team, you're able to discuss which best question to be proposed during your interviews. Okay. Of course, to get the best question is of course back to your construct and also your research objective. So when you construct and develop your research protocol, your interview protocol, you are trying to put your research question in your protocol interviews. So what are the construct need to be written there? For example, kalau saya, if I'm wanted to interview a group of students in terms of what are the impact, what is their social impact during MCO, what is the social impact during MCO, social impact, not economic impact. So what are the construct within that social impact? Maybe emotion, maybe psychological effect, and so on. So meaning to say, Dr. Azwin, you should be able to shape up, you're able to iron up kind of question that actually relevant to your research objective, because at the end you are answering the objective. But there are some instances from your construct, from your research question, there are something not able to capture, because all this came from your literature, right, and your experience. But since you are learning from the experts, actually there are points, there are something that are not in your frame, but it comes up from your respondent. That is the beautiful of qualitative study, because there is an emerging data. Why we accept emerging data? Because every time you ask, it's that similar experience, that similar statement being addressed by the respondent. So it means that these are the experience, that something not from your literature or not from experience, but the experience of your expert that they have shared. Okay, Azwin? Okay, there are a few more minutes. An unstructured interview has a topic area to be explored, but what gets covered is left up to the respondent. An opening question usually, but you will receive a lot of information from your respondent. An unstructured interview. Okay. Your question from these unstructured interviews, follow up certain points to elaborate. Dynamic listening is very important. Do not interrupt so much. More like a conversation than an interview. This one, usually unstructured interview always come from open-ended question. Yeah, because more like santai, more like very cordial. not like very very formal, more like cordial. Okay. And unstructured interviews is the way you conduct when the questions are not totally preset and interview takes a conventional approach. This is often called qualitative interviewing. So I will just leave this one. I thought I have time for you all to discuss. Okay, group. Similar like individual IDI, individual depth interview. Individual depth interview. That's something like I forgot just now. IDI, individual depth interview. If you expand into a group, it's similar, but one thing that you need to reskill or upskill yourself when you have group interview is that do not allow hot seat. Have you heard about hot seat? Hot seat meaning that there are confrontation that happen. Yeah. So do not allow confrontational question. Do not allow to have hot seat whereby you will spoil the whole session. Yeah. Do not go beyond. If you think your respondent is not able to be controlled, please go mild so that there will be no argument happen during your FGT or FGI. Okay? Numbers depending. The most I always have is about 6. I unable to go for more than 6. Yeah, because it's not easy to control a big group. I'm not sure if you people can do more than 6. Usually I'll do that around that area. Key informant for interview. Something like who need. Okay, key informants are individuals who are like to have information you need. Means you're experts chosen because you need to learn from them. Yeah. So, but in a group interview, it's like a focus group involve particular people who have been chosen as focus of your question. Yeah. So that, like remember, Prof. Susanna, we did our focus group interview during our project, and of course our NRGS. Prof. Rose, we did our NRGS project, so that we have a lot of FGI, FGD here. Okay, group interview, informal discussion, nominal group, community forum, and so forth. So open up, yeah, right? So this is some question that I need you to think about, and of course, recap of what I've done above. And of course, you need to plan your interview process. This is very, very important, yeah, and develop interviewing skills. This is much. I'm able to do a smooth interview after many years. A lot of practice, a lot of interview. Yeah, I did my master's in counseling too. Yeah, so this is where I able to gain a lot of experience and gain a lot of skills. Yeah, doing interviews. Yeah. So try not avoid asking why question. Yeah, so because it will not help. It will not help you. Why? Yeah, you because your respondent will feel that you are interrogating. Yeah, of course, pilot not to get reliability. Pilot to make your question familiar. You familiarize with your setting, familiarize with your question, familiarize with your respondent. This is very important. And you will ask: is the pilot group that you have studied can be your respondent? Yes, can. Yeah. Okay. Right, practice as I've addressed so many times. Of course, these are some things that you have to do. Yeah, telephone, personalize. You have to address. You have to give confidence, and of course, solicit participation and arrange time. And do not. What I can say. Give time to your respondent. Sometimes your respondent will be quite reluctant at the very beginning, but maybe it will be something like they would accept your presence because you need the respondent's experience for you to undergo your study. Yeah, right. Of course, these are some ways of doing it. Probing. Yeah, probing. Yeah. This I know there's a lot in the YouTube. This is something that I might share. Yeah. Right, this is very important. This is what I did. Yeah, some people did a lot. Did listing, tick, tick. But for me, I love to do writing using timeline. Yeah, of course, recording, and that is very important. Go back, analyze your data, come back with the question that has not been questioned before. So at the end, check, fill your notes, write a brief summary. This is done by Kirk and Miller, Krik and Miller. He gave a very good example in how to carry out note taking during interviews. Yeah, this is done by Kirk and Miller, Kirk and Miller, Kirk and Miller. Okay, wrap up. Interviewing tips: establish rapport, time frame, pitch your language. Yeah, begin with topic of interest. Do not jump into the actual question and one question time. And be careful with your words. Be respectful and be patient. Oh, I learned a lot actually from being an interviewer during my study because it gave me a lot of patience. It gave me a lot of time for me to rethink, to do reflection and many things. Yeah, actually, I learned a lot. I built myself. I became what I am here today because something that I learned a lot from being an researcher. Yeah. Okay. Before and after, and checking answers. This is very important. The one that I've showed earlier. Reflection. This is very important. Now, any question before we? Ada question ke Najmi?
Setakat ni tak ada yang dekat chat, tak ada.
Tak ada.
Jadi others who would like to.
Okay, I'm so sorry because I need to get away from the actual point of my internet because I have some disturbance today. You might just listen to my voice and the background, but not me. So please apologize me for these hiccups. But my voice still being heard. All right. Last question. Anyone? No question. Okay. Haja has our urus here has already insert the worksheet. There are some points that you can learn from the worksheet that I have attached. Yeah, and of course, please sign up. The next, bila kita punya next? Next will be 28th of July after Hari Raya break. No question, anyone?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Ni sekan line
Oh ya, ni silakan.
dari FTKW. Dia okey, biasa kalau macam saya pun sendirilah, kadang-kadang kita nak dapat bila kita interview secara kualitatif. So sometimes kita kena dapat dari those yang authority lah. Authority. So for novice researcher ni macam kita nak dapat authority tu macam mana, bro? Jadi sometimes kita nak dapat feedback yang berkualiti kan. We need to go to very respect. Tapi quite a challenge lah kita nak macam Prof kata tadi lah. Kita nak wrap up kan, nak dapat engagement yang supaya bila kita on the discussion tu kita macam mana strategi dia dan tip dia, Prof.
Oh, okay. Very good question, especially for novices. First of all, you have your intention that you need this respondent because this respondent is very who has thick and rich information.
Yes.
Thick and rich information. So you cannot let go this informant. Yeah. So firstly, give the whole picture what actually your study is about. Yeah. What your study is about. So very clear picture will reduce doubt, will reduce misconception. Yeah, because our research sometimes our research is not only common research. Yeah, there are people here or people outside there who wanted to do research on the sensitive issues. Yeah, so that is very important. Let's say nak interview orang di penjara, untuk maybe interview financier, maybe interview stock management, so you have to you have to be very tactful when you wanted to do interviews. And of course your interview is not once. Dr. Nick, you cannot carry interviews to get once so that, oh, I've done my interview. This is always happen when I assess PhD student. Yeah, and sometimes when this happened, I said the data is not really represent the whole experience of your respondent. So they have to go back and do another round so that data will be rich enough to represent. If this, because it is unfair if we go once and you report that once incident that you have gotten from your respondent. It's not
Prof,
fair.
we have another question from Dr.
Okay.
Suraya.
Thank you, Prof.
Wait, Nick. Okay, thank you, Nick. Okay. Dr. Suraya,
We
I
check,
used
Prof.
to encounter an occasion in the past where my interviewee wanted me to off-record. Okay. Unfortunately, the off-record segment is what makes the research interesting and okay. Yeah, well done, Dr. Suraya. You able to carry out your interview without recording, meaning that you have already digested and you're able to capture everything. Yeah. So that's good. So, but we also wanted to report and share this unexpected finding in our research and its contribute to research novelty and such. Okay. Oh, if you have photographic mind, if you're able to jot every single words and statement that being presented by a respondent, that would be much appreciated. This is very good. Yeah. Okay, Dr. Suraya. Any more questions? It's 11 past, Najmi. 11 past 11.
Yes.
Thank you for
We
attending.
don't have any
Yeah,
question.
yeah. I'm. Please,
Thank you.
please, please apologize. Because I have to stay very far away from the actual point of internet. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Maafkan. And then hope to see back. Yeah. In the near future. Okay. Back to Dr. Najmi. Please sign up. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much,
Welcome.
Prof.
Yeah.
Surya, for this sharing.
Thank you,
Thank
Prof.
you
Surya.
also for
Good job.
those
Thank you.
the advance
Thank you, Prof.
of
Surya.
Dr. Prof. Dr. Rosalina, the first student today coming
Prof.
to
Susana,
from Argentina.
Salina, Prof.
Yeah.
Raja Susana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nama
Thank
Dek
you very
Salina
much.
lain.
Thank you,
Okay.
Najmi.
Till now, we close for this session and we meet 28 July for the fourth session for this series.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
See you then. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Take
Waalaikumsalam
care,
warahmatullahi.
everyone. Stay
Take care, Prof.
safe. Yes, welcome. Thank you, everyone. See you again.
Thank you.